folks, and welcome back to Soaring Profits. We got a Thursday Night Live, as per usual. Every Thursday night, you can check us out here at 9 p.m. And tonight, other than this guy here beside me, we've got a special host, a special guest with us, Rachel. Those of you who have been kind of following along with some of our social media, she's been kind of
elusive.
She kind of left us on read, and she just kind of was gone there for a while. But I can't blame her. Rachel,
I'm so sorry.
You are not feeling well, lost a little voice. I guess we couldn't put you on here. So, Rachel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me still, despite the fact that I ran away.
There's a lot of hate mail. I'm just going to say a lot of hate mail.
It's been showing up at my door. So.
Would you say someone what?
The hate mail has been showing up at my door.
Yeah, the naughty and nice list, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I figured it was all from you, Pat. So
right, exactly. Yeah. Well, so Rachel, obviously, welcome. Thank you very much for coming, James. We've got the holiday season. James, good to have you back. It sounds like you've had some interesting things going on the last little while.
Where did I go? Oh yeah, your last video. I remember now.
I had to do it by myself.
You couldn't find me anywhere for your last video. It was a great video, though, all about not buying things.
Well, I'm just saying,
I was shopping for a brand new car, and then I bought a house. No.
So, Rachel, for you who probably didn't see our last video,
and I got to do iFly, which is this really cool indoor fly studio place. I was also editing videos. I think you Soaring Profits out there could hop out there, and you could see way back, I think September last year, I went whitewater rafting, and I finally got that video edited, and it's out there. And I also have our Soaring Profits and Friends coming up, which I'm going to talk Rachel into being part of next time. And there's also a New Year's Eve, hey, Happy New Year's. So
yeah.
A lot of stuff.
This isn't all just about the James show, so we should probably get back to what we're really doing and focus on Rachel. Right, yeah. So Rachel, you, my dear, everyone has been in awe of these photos that James has put up on our social media where you're literally lifting the world, and now you're carrying two losers like us through the show. So what's new with you? What are you doing? And damn.
Well, first off, that's exceptionally kind of you. Thank you. Hardly. Yeah, things are good here. Right now, I'm training at Pulse Physio. I'm at the Lansdowne location, but we have two. There's also one in Chemung. So yeah, basically that's where I spend my time. We have another trainer, Nick, who's wonderful as well. So there's the two of us there. So we've been putting in our time and our efforts there with one-on-one training. We do team training. We do small group training. And that's kind of how we run the show there.
So this is someone I've known you for a number of years. We went to high school together. So I've got a track record with you here and know a little bit about you. But this is something that you've had a passion for a very long time. And, James, I'm sure he's going to jump in here and tell you his story a little bit and touch base.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Yeah. So you find yourself now in a position where you're a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. Then you've gone into now partnering with another organization. Are you still training? Are you more sports specific? What are you guys doing right now?
So we have it all at Pulse. We do each one is sort of separate in the sense of we have the team training, we've got small group training, and then we've got one-on-one training. So whatever sort of somebody is looking for, we can kind of accommodate and fit you into what is going to be the best suiting for you.
So is Pulse after injury, or is Pulse I'm come to you because I want to get stronger? What is the tagline for Pulse? What is their motivation?
So our mantra, so to speak, is movement for life, right? So we have it all. We've got the physios in the clinic, and I'm speaking for both the Chemung and the Lansdowne, that we've got physios and we've got massage. And then just at Lansdowne, we've got the gym set up for training. And like I said, that includes the teams, the small group, and the one-on-one.
Right.
Yeah.
So for those of you that didn't follow along here, I had a terrible holidays. I ended up throwing my back out. I like to think that it's a sign from somebody. I was literally lifting baby Jesus when I threw out my back. So it was a very low-key holiday for myself. We had a terrible storm that everyone knows. I ended up at a situation where I saw that this nativity scene had blown over at this church. Well, my church, driving by, my daughter and I jump out of the car. We go over to lift it. I find myself trucking through the snow, and I go to lift this thing, and I go, And I figure I now live on the church lawn. This is my new home. I've accepted my fate. This is it. And for the next like 4 days, Christmas Eve, for the next 4 days, I was like bedridden. I could barely do anything. It was terrible, awful. And I've thrown my back out before, but never really to this extent where I'm like, if you shot me, I'd be fine. So this was all very new to me. So this sounds like something to get maybe touch with yourself and your organization. And I figured you'd have, a pen.
So this is what I told him. I said, you have to stop immediately what you're doing right now because you're not moving. Not moving is the worst thing you can do for a sore back. You got to keep moving. I know it doesn't sound right, but you got to start walking, some stretching, light stretching, stuff like that. Because I had back problems myself, but I do yoga and stuff like that, and it pulls it out. I'm not an expert like you. I'm not trying to be, but this is what I was trying to tell him, and he told me to fuck off, Rachel.
I believe that. I think he would probably tell me to fuck off too.
Right.
So let's hear
I believe your exact message where you might have to do something. And I'm like,
well, I was going to say, so my question is, if this isn't the first time this has happened to you, what have you been doing since the last time to try to prevent it from happening again?
So the last time I blamed wholly on stress. The last time I did it was about 3 weeks after my father passed away. And I'm just like, I think this is the body saying, lay down. You probably need a minute. Now, literally baby Jesus, I think maybe telling me something.
So, Pat, I mean this with all the love and with zero disrespect.
This should be good.
But you can't use that as an excuse.
Baby Jesus?
Your father.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. I think if you could use excuses, those two are pretty good ones. I'm just saying.
It's true.
On a scale of 2 excuses, no, you're absolutely right. And it's 100% something that, I never say this, but James was probably correct. I probably should be doing something a little bit more proactive.
Just take the probably right out of there.
Got it. Coach.
Right.
So okay, so I'll give you my symptoms live. Look at this.
Here we are.
Well, wait a second.
Yeah.
I'm not a physio.
No, I'm not asking you to be. I'm asking you to fix me. Subtle. Yeah. So my whole deal is I understand that you've never, you haven't looked at me, you know, that sort of thing, right? But obviously there's some physiological things that you can look at fairly quickly and be like, hey, these are obviously going to help you when baby Jesus kicks your ass.
So as James said before, a lot of people think that saying when you're in pain or when you're injured, that movement sounds counterintuitive, right? It sounds like, for years and years, decades, people have been saying, okay, you hurt yourself, you got to rest. You got to ice it, you got to elevate it, you got to stop moving, and you just got to wait it out.
Right.
It's probably one of the worst decisions that you can make for an injury. Injuries need movement. And I'm not saying that you should be putting a ton of weight on your back before you're ready to do that. But you need to be moving and you need to be strengthening it. And it's not, yes, there's going to be a big portion of stretching and mobility that's going to be incorporated in that, but you also need to be strength training because that's what's going to protect it as, from this continuing to happen or continuing to happen to a worse degree every time because it's already getting worse every time it happens.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The first time, and again, I chalked it up very much to just kind of all of the stress and stuff that I was dealing with. I ended up in a situation where I slipped, kind of wrenched myself just on some ice and was just kind of like, all right, time to lay down, chill out, relax. And they were like, my daughter, who at the time was 12, is like, I had to come get you out of bed. Like, help me physically out of bed. Yeah. I thought I'm an old man now. It is what it is. Yeah. But like at 36 years old, I should not have to have my 12-year-old crawl me out of bed, right?
No. And
so in that situation, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
In that situation, what is strength training going to help me with? So obviously I slip, I fall, I injure myself. Okay. I rehab this, gonna have to slowly get back into it. James is all about, what was it? Downward dog. And what was the other one? Pigeon or something you made up?
Pigeon. I didn't make it up. It's a real thing.
They didn't make it up.
No, it's pigeon. And
spotting chicken. There's rat.
Like you just don't hop into pigeon, but pigeon is a good one for stretching that area. and so is like
Is this
downward
real? Is he making this shit up? Like,
No, it's real.
dog. And also baby something. I can't remember now.
child's pose.
Child's pose. That's it. Yeah,
How
those
do
are
I know
pretty
this?
good ones. Nice save. I like it. So, okay. So this is the thing. So Pat is a client of Pulse, right? This is who you look for, right? It's someone who's hurt. So Pat's hurt himself, and if he was bright and he knew someone, like say someone he knew from high school,
Yeah.
he could go to and he could say, I need help because I'm an old man and I'm
Because I'm
frail,
alcoholic.
and weak. When I was in high school, I got like sports rings, but now that I'm old and
The
weak,
Pat that I know is actually quite athletic. And so,
guess what?
so to see him in this position is, it's actually, it's unfortunate because I know that your body can handle like so
thank
much
you.
more than this. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's disappointing. Like I'm disappointed for you because you shouldn't have gotten to this point at all.
Let's say in him. Disappointed in him, please.
Wow.
So he comes
Who
to you.
invited you
He
fucks
comes
on
to your
here?
organization. And so I'm not even going to listen to you anymore. He comes to your organization, then he chooses between one-on-one group or the other.
I mean, if he comes to us with an injury,
Okay.
I would recommend that he sees a physio first.
Okay.
Right. Like let's diagnose the injury. Let's see what's going on. Let's get some movement and mobility back so that he's going to feel actually comfortable and safe then and feeling like he has some knowledge coming into working with a trainer. Right. Because if somebody's injured and they just get sent to a trainer and you come to me and I say, OK, we're going to do all of these movements plus, a couple, you're just going to look at me like, oh, I can hardly walk. Never mind lift some weight. Right.
Yeah.
And obviously sorry.
Getting out of bed is a huge.
I can't get out of bed. How am I supposed to, pick up a weight? But it's a process, right? So in the beginning, if I'm working, let's say I'm working with Pat and he's injured, we're not going to be doing the same things that I would be doing with a client who's been training with me for a while, who's healthy, for lack of a better way of putting it, or who's already feeling strong, who isn't dealing with a current injury, right? Like those things, that program is going to be very different. Each program is tailored to every client, right? So yes, of course, my view would be to get Pat to the point of being able to get back to strength training and putting some muscle back on and putting some, making him feel like his back is actually
Back
useful.
on.
You know what I mean?
You guys
know
have
what I
Pat?
mean?
Back on. I'm sorry. Every chance I get.
Just twist the knife, Rachel. Just twist the knife.
I'm just trying to get you to come see me. That's all.
Right. That's exactly it. Yeah.
This whole video is going to be on the highlight reel. I'm telling you right now because I make the highlight reel.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy right now. Sorry.
Okay, so I come to you. We've got a plan in place through your organization. Now, I understand the physio side of things that there's in it. So I tend to be more the business guy, right? So through the physio side, through the massage side, we're gonna get me back. We're gonna get me some functional sort of thing. And there's insurance benefits. There's all this sort of thing. How does personal training? How is that billed? How does that work within your organization? Is there an insurance-based compensation side? How does that kind of function?
I mean, generally speaking, your is based on their own plan. So I can't speak generally to those things. So it would be dependent on your own plan. Normally, personal training is not something that's covered under insurance, but there are always exceptions.
So why is that? Why is there? So obviously you have certification. You've went through a process. You're licensed, right? Registered. Like there is an Ontario organization. What is, and this is maybe a kind of a higher level question, but why is it not a process being preventative where the insurance industry is coming in and saying, hey, look at this. This is an opportunity for us to get ahead of some of these long-term injuries? Yeah.
Well, I would say in terms of the logistics of that, that's not a question for me.
Right.
In terms of why that's the case, I don't know. I definitely agree with you that I think it should be. The insurance companies are so quick to cover physio and massage and other sorts of treatments, but they just don't look at training the same way. And they kind of look at it as a luxury, right?
I wonder if it's because we, up until 10 years ago, it was what you said. Like if you had cracked ribs, you wrapped them and you didn't move. If you had sprained a knee, you didn't move it. So there was no recovery was not linked to working out.
Right.
So I wonder if that's why that's just something that's building up steam, picking up steam, because it would make total sense for insurance to cover that kind of program where it was linked to physio or linked to osteo or linked to something, because you're only going to get better, and then you will not have to do it anymore. Like eventually you'll get to a point where you will know enough knowledge that you can keep strength training, right? So I wonder if it's because of that, just because because before there was no osteopath was not in it. And some other massage therapy, I'm sure, wasn't in it at one time. I think it's one of those things you have to grow, right?
Maybe that will happen at some point, that insurance companies will start to cover training a little bit more, but as of right now, it doesn't seem to be very common.
No, and that, to me, that seems like a shortfall for sure. So I come in, we set up a program, I start lifting with Rachel, and again, like, you as an athlete are wild. I would argue that, like, when the weights that you're throwing around just on your social media stuff alone is pretty wild. Like, you have a fantastic physique. You've been training a long time. Obviously, you know what you're doing to get the results you are. But sorry?
I said that's very kind. Thank you.
Well, obviously, you've busted your ass for a number of years to get where you are. But how do you take a client that is, Fat Pat here now? Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Hey, the first step is just admitting it.
Wow.
I like her. I really like, you told me I would like her, and I do. It's wonderful.
Terrible. So how do you pick somebody up and motivate them to do kind of like James's story, where, went from a guy who was, Fat James.
Very fat James.
Yeah, I want to hear more about that for sure.
For sure. But how do you pick that person up and kind of gear them, motivate them, get them to the point where they're like, yeah, no, I want to do this every morning. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm doing that. How you as a professional, James did it personally. He realized when he couldn't look down and tie his shoes, something's got to change. But you're doing this to people that are like just needing something. How do you motivate them? What's that drive?
So I think the drive is different for every person, right?
Sure.
My drive and what gets me in the gym and what keeps me motivated, and I prefer the word disciplined, because truthfully, I don't have motivation every day, but I go anyway, right?
That's a really interesting way to put that. Like, that discipline factor is like a really unique word to describe that, as opposed to just like motivation. That's a really cool way to do that.
Because, and like I said, even people who are in the gym every day, or who are, whether it's the gym or whether it's a sport or whether it's whatever you're doing that you love to keep you active, you don't always want to do it every day. There are days that I wake up and I think, I could not go today, but I go anyway. And that's, that does take time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a mental shift of changing the wording in your own mind from, I have to go to the gym today, and I'm using the word the gym just for my example. So I have to go to the gym today, or I get to go to the gym today. It really, that sounds kind of cliche, but it really is a privilege that our bodies work to the point that they do, right? Like, our bodies are meant to work. Bodies are not meant to be stagnant. And
James, James, you all right, buddy?
I was dropped into the pits of hell.
We were worried about Rachel.
It's me.
I thought that was for sure going to be me.
No, it would be. It's been a whole day. Okay. Yeah. No. So I totally cut you off, but what you're saying is totally right. There are lots of times that I don't feel motivated to run, or I don't feel motivated to do yoga or whatever. And it's that whole idea of, it's not that I have to, it's because I can or I want to. Yeah. And the great thing is, every time, and I don't know if you feel this way, Rachel, but me, every time I lace up those shoes and I start running, I get past that 1K, I'm so happy I did it. Or, I roll out the mat and I start yoga. Halfway through, I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't even know why I even thought for a second I didn't want to do this, because I totally do. For sure. But it's getting to the gym and getting to the run. Yep. So I totally get that. And it's a mindset. Yeah. Sorry, that's where we were anyway, before I disappeared.
And I think that process is different for everybody. Everybody's going to hit those sort of landmarks at a different point, right? Like, it's, even when I started 10, 12 years ago working out, I went through those thoughts too of, don't want to get up, don't want to be here. Even when I would walk in the door, it's like, I don't know, I don't feel like I know what I'm doing, or I feel like I'm intimidated, or whatever the feelings were. Yeah. To now, where it's, if you can follow the steps all the way to now, where it's harder for me to take a rest day than it is for me to go to the gym. Like it's almost just my body and my brain are on autopilot. Like I just end up there, right? And so, but that takes time, and sometimes people don't even get to that point, and that's not. But in my opinion, that's still not a reason to not do it.
No.
Like even if you don't want to be there, you don't like it, you don't enjoy it, your body needs it, and there really isn't a way around that. Nobody is the exception to that. Nobody's body is going to maintain the way that they want it to, or to even progress the way that they want it to without actually putting the work in. You know, you have to pay your dues in order to get to where you want to be with fitness.
I feel very attacked.
I'm speaking directly to you.
So I totally agree. And, you know, so I lived a long life of trying. So at first I was lethargic as hell. Obviously I was 356 pounds. And it wasn't until several points of impact that I had to. So points of impact for me is like low points in my life that I have to make a change, or like it's just not going to be good for anybody, including myself. So I had a couple of those, and I ended up losing a bunch of weight, and then I started working out. And then what happened is I tried lots of things. I tried CrossFit, I tried boot camp, I tried swimming, and it wasn't until like this year, accidentally, I was dating a woman in Halifax who was an Iron Man, and she taught me how to run. Amazing. And I fell in love with running. Absolutely fell like head over heels in love. With running, not her, with running. Not running. Like yesterday I ran 24K and loved every second of it. Right? Today was 10. And I'm running with a great group, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm loving it. And I really think that if you keep on looking, keep on searching, maybe it's hiking, maybe it's climbing, maybe it's swimming, you will find that thing. You just got to get out there and try different things.
Sex.
And then once you find that one thing, there's going to be one thing that you love. It may be sex. It may be lifting weights.
It still counts.
It does count. It's wonderful, especially if you do it right, though, not the way Pat does it.
Well, by myself, it's not.
You're not getting
right.
Only the one arm is getting exercise. No, but once you find that one thing, so I found running, you found lifting weights, obviously, and I'm sure you do other things besides lifting weights. Yeah. Then you balance it with something else, like yoga or something else. And that's the stuff that may be harder to get to. But if you find that passion, I think you just get there. Yes. It's weird.
No, I agree. And going back to Pat's original question of how do you motivate somebody, exactly what you were just saying. I think that everybody's motivation is different, right? You know, lots of people have a moment where they think, okay, I can't live like this anymore. And that moment looks so different for everyone, whether it's they can't run around with their grandkids, or they can't do a repair on the house because they can't climb a ladder, or they can't toss a ball around with their kid in the backyard, like whatever the reason is, or they want to learn to run a marathon and they can't, or
they lift baby Jesus and hurt their back,
or they can't lift baby Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, that's
just
as important. So you have to figure out what that person's reason is, you know, for wanting to make a difference. And you kind of have to dig at it a little bit, right? And a lot of people are guarded about that. If it's something that's new to them, they don't necessarily want to admit it, or they don't want to talk about it, or they certainly don't want to tell somebody new about it, right? That like if somebody's coming to me as a new client, it's not always easy to get them to open up and to talk and to trust me enough to explain to me why they're here, right? If this is a brand new thing, like not only are they intimidated by the gym, intimidated by everybody else around them, but they're probably intimidated by the fact that now they have to open up to this person who they don't know, right? And so, and I'm going to ask some pretty serious questions, and I want a real answer. If you actually want to be here and you want to do the work and you're ready to do this, like I'm kind of a no bullshit kind of person. Pat can probably tell you that. So it's like I want to get.
That's why you get results. Am I wrong?
No.
Like I'm sure there's lots of people like you are 100% in the relationship business.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. Like you are a counselor. You're a therapist. You are in a lot of ways. You're a bully.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, and I'm not sorry about it.
100%. You're
bully in a good way.
This out there. This is what my expectations are.
Yeah.
Are you hitting this or not? And then what are our new expectations? Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you are in the business. You're as much a therapist as you are anything.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's not just about my expectations, though. You've come to me you've come to me. So
Right.
this is about your expectations.
Right.
So you obviously, and again, I don't mean literally you. I'm just using the collective you, with a little bit of
Oh, me.
pat,
Yeah.
a little pat highlighted underneath.
Right.
But like, you've come to me for a reason, right? You're here. I didn't come out and find you and pick you off the street and say, you know, you need to come see me. You found me. You came to see me. Tell me why you're here, and I'm going to remind you of that every day. Right? Because that's the only way that we're going to get to where you told me you want to be. This isn't about where I want you to be. This is about where you want to be. So I'm just here to help you, because a lot of people, and honestly, a lot of my job is accountability.
Right.
Some people, like, I have clients, part of my goal is I want my clients to get to the point where they don't need me anymore. Right? I'm not about hooking someone in for life and like, you can't leave me and you always have to be my client. No, I am so proud when a client has been with me for a while, and that looks different for everybody. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's 5 years, right? But when a client finally says, you know, I think I feel confident enough that I can do this. Like, I'm, you know, sad to leave, but I'm going to go. It's like, yeah, man, I'm so sad to lose you, but so proud that you feel like you can go on your own. I love seeing that. But that looks different for everyone, right? Little steps at a time. Absolutely.
No, absolutely. Though I think it's great. Like, so like I'm kind of in the counseling field myself a little bit.
Yeah.
And I feel you, because we were talking to another lady called Coach Kate, and she's more into like heavier set people and helping them through the journey of like food,
Cool.
mind and body, and trying to make a whole person into,
Yeah.
reaching those goals, which sounds very much what you're doing, except some of the times yours is linked to injury or some sort of trauma. Hers is more, they're already heavy set, I believe, is what I got from Kate. And it is very much that, you have to talk to them, you have to get to know them on a personal level that they would get to know like a really good friend. And that is intimidating. And I would imagine, like, I've seen your photos, what you look like when you're like in the gym, and the fact that you're lifting like me above your head, that would be intimidating too, right? It would be like I can't possibly do what you're doing.
But I also want that. Like, I don't want, like, so 100% Rachel, like you're a specimen. Like, the amount of weight you throw up and your stuff like that, it's wild.
Right?
Right?
It's wild to watch.
No, but it's true. But if
you earned every accolade that we're throwing at you. Like, you have worked hard, and it's amazing. Yeah.
If I'm going to somebody that I want to get to that level, if that's my goal, I'm not going to the wiener armed kid in the corner so I feel good the first day. Like, I want that person that's done it, who's hit all those walls, hit every possible injury, every outcome, every therapy they've had. Like, you've had the ups, you've had the downs, you've tried this, you've done this, you've found this worked. I want to tap into that knowledge.
Yeah. Yep. And I feel the same way. There's always going to be somebody better. And if I'm, whether it's training or whether it's in anything, if I'm going to hire somebody to teach me something, I would hope that they would know more than I, right? Or have done more than I, or can, lead me down a path that I haven't been down before. And my goodness, there are people, like, I still learn from so many people, right? Like, you can be in the gym a lifetime and still be learning from people. So we all have so much to learn, myself included. What was I going to say there? But everybody, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Everybody's
point of impact and the reason that they need to do something is different. And you pulling it from them, although hard, but once you pull it from them, don't you find, so for me, like I said, I had several points. One, I was 356 pounds and obese, and I couldn't go on a roller coaster at Wonderland with my children because I was too fat to fit in a roller coaster. Two, I went and saw my doctor for a physical, and she said, that's strange. And she was very surprised that I had the heart of a much younger man. And she said, you have to start making changes because your body on the inside is still good.
Right.
But it won't be in 10 years.
Yeah.
You're going to die. Right? Because I was killing myself. I was eating bad. I was doing everything bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's another point of impact that happened that I don't want to get into, but Pat's aware of it. So all of these things happen. So my motivation, though, ended up being I wanted to see my grandkids. I'm not going to see, if I keep on doing what I'm doing, I'm never, ever going to see my grandkids. My grandparent, my dad died the year that my daughter was born. My mom died just before my wife got pregnant. My ex-wife got pregnant. I want to see them. I wanted to see them grow. I want to help them run. I want to teach them to throw a ball. So I had that in presence in front of me the whole time, and I was able to draw on that the whole time as strength.
Yeah.
So like that's what I see from you. Like if they can find that, I talk about that on my videos. That if you're going to go like Saturday is a prime example. You're going to wake up Sunday. You're going to wake up and go, I'm never going to smoke again. I'm not going to eat. I'm going to lose 300 pounds. You know. That's no reason to do it. If that's what you're doing, you're wasting your fucking time. Grow up. What you got to do is you got to find a real reason. You want to do it because you want to be able to do this.
And sometimes those reasons are so small to start with. Just like, or they feel small. It doesn't feel like you don't have to come into this thinking, okay, I want to be a gym rat. No, it doesn't have to be that at all. It can just be, like you said, about getting healthy or spending your lifetime feeling good with the people that you love. And slowly, I think people will be surprised at how much they actually fall in love with it.
Right.
I'm guessing, at least based on what you've said, James, is that, now it's a major part of your life. And you probably couldn't imagine your life if you didn't do it every day. Right. Well, if you think back, and sorry, I don't know what the timeline is, but if you think back maybe 10 years when you weren't doing this,
yes.
Would you have imagined yourself saying, I have to go for a run today because I'm going to feel like I'm missing out if I don't?
Yeah, not at all. No, you don't even think about it in those terms. So it was 2016 when I started losing weight. And there are a lot of things that I do now that I wouldn't even contemplate. Like, so I've ran in sleet. I've ran in snow. I've ran in like thunderstorms with lightning striking behind me. But I got to run. It's like you said. If you don't go to the gym, it just feels it feels like you haven't accomplished what you're supposed to accomplish.
Yeah.
Because that becomes a thing.
Yep.
Like every morning, I have a set of things I need to accomplish.
Yep.
And it's very important to me. I have a structured plan that I created for myself. I think if you don't have a structured plan, you're not going to achieve your goals.
Yep.
You need a structured plan that not only has your goal points, because it's not just one big goal. You need the small goals, but you also need the rewards. That, like a month from now, you're going to celebrate with pizza and ice cream or whatever your rewards are.
Yeah.
And then eventually, once you just pull the rewards out because you don't need them anymore, because the reward is going running,
right.
which is weird.
Yeah. The concept of a reward changes over time.
Holy, yeah.
Well, it sounds like what you're doing here, guys, is you're taking, a behavioral concept, you're modifying the behavior. But so Rachel, for yourself in your, personal and professional, tapping into those motivations obviously looks different for everybody. But once you tap into that motivation, is that what you're driving on? Like, are you constantly coming back to them and saying, hey, you want to be able to see your grandkids? And that's a motivation? Or are you diving that down psychologically to smaller little tidbits every day? Like it seems like James's point of impact that he calls it was huge. Yeah. And that's why he did the 160 pounds. But it's very different for somebody who's not at 160 pounds that they need to lose. So what does that look like?
I would say yes, that you break it down to little pieces every day, because I think if you constantly focus on the one big goal, and again, everybody's different, but if you focus on the one big goal, it can feel overwhelming for a lot of people, especially for somebody who's new, like to think, okay, if I don't reach this goal in the next 6 months, I've failed at this again, right? And I try to always remind people that, like, okay, you can have kind of a timeline in your mind of what you think this should look like in 6 months or in a year, but it's probably not going to look that way when we actually get there. And that's not going to mean that you failed or that you haven't put the work in, but we're also just human, right? And part of this process is, because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, right? In terms of the fitness lifestyle. So if you're coming into this thinking, okay, I'm going to put in 6 months of like brutal hard work and get to where I want to be, and then that's all I have to do, it's not, because you're just going to end up right back where you started for the most part. And you're going to have to redo it again. And every time it's going to be harder and harder and harder, right? Because you're getting older, you're going to have more injuries, you're going to be more frustrated with yourself. And it's just, you're going to lose that drive for it.
So how do you manage, Rachel, how do you manage expectations then? Like if somebody walks in, they're like, I want a 6-pack rack of abs in 6 months. I'm going on vacation. And you're like, shut up.
Well, like I said before, I'm kind of no bullshit. I just say, well, it's not going to happen.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you like, even putting 6 months in of hard work, and let's say you're in the gym every day, let's say you've totally changed your nutrition to being completely on point, and that, like, even with that amount of time, 6 months, and if I'm just using that timeline arbitrarily, but like, that's a short amount of time. I know it sounds long,
Right.
but in the
It's
fitness
short.
world, it's like, it's a short
Yeah.
amount of time to really see any changes.
Yeah.
And that's tough for people to wrap their head around. They're like, well, if I come see you twice a week, and then, maybe I'll work out once on my own, and that's 3 times a week, like, that's enough. And no, it's not if you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
No. So you just kind of, and this is me, and again, I'm a big believer in that. You got to find the right fit, right? Whether it's a trainer, whether it's a therapist, whether it's whatever you're looking for, it has to be the right fit. So I'm not for everybody. I'm pretty blunt, right? And not everybody. Now I soften it for some people. I wouldn't for Pat, but some people.
Is he soft and weak? Is that what you're? I just wondered.
No, some people need a little bit more hand holding along the way, and that's something that I have to figure out as a trainer, of who my client is and what their personality is and what their temperament's like, right? Because if I come in, no holds bar with somebody who can't handle that, like, I'm not going to get anywhere, and I'm not going to be able to help them, right? I'm just going to frustrate myself, I'm going to frustrate them, and they're going to lose motivation. But somebody who does need that, if I come in and just sort of, well, we'll see how it goes, and if you want to see me twice a week, or you only want to work out twice a week, and like, yeah, sure, we can start with that, and then we can reevaluate in a month, and like, they're just gonna, I'm gonna give them an inch, and they're gonna take a mile, right? And before we know it, those 6 months, we didn't even get anything done. So you kind of have to learn to be quick with reading people that way, and within a few sessions, be able to kind of tell, like, okay, I need to, step up my game a little bit in terms of how I'm reacting and handling them in their sessions, or, I need to back off a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. And what I was going to say earlier that I lost my train of thought on is, I'll be honest, I appreciate what you guys are saying. And I agree that if I were hiring a trainer, I would want them to be more than I am in every way. Right. But I've lost a couple of clients because they've been intimidated, or they, and without even, before even working with me, I've just met them, or they've seen my Instagram or whatever, and they just decided, what, I'm gonna work with someone else, because I just, I either don't want to look like that, or she's too intense for me, or that's not really what I'm looking for, which is totally fine.
But is that not like a fucking feather in your cap? Like, I just think that as like such a, you're damn skippy.
I take it as a compliment.
Yes.
Totally fine. It's like, okay, yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna work with you. I'm gonna get, like, you're describing all of the things that you'd want, right? Yeah. I'm gonna create something that works for you. It's an individual plan. This isn't just like steroids in the ass, let's go. No. Right? This is all a very designed plan. Yeah. If you don't want that, that's fine.
That's cool.
Like, I'm totally okay with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And by no means am I the be all and end all of fitness or the knowledge on it, but it's, I'm somebody who, like, I work hard, I know what I want, and I can help you get there. And so if that's both for myself and for my clients, and if that's something that you want, let's do it.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. What would be your, like, Pat always, I'm going to take a Pat euphemism here. He always is like, point of difference in business. So what's your point of difference, say, between working at a Trent and getting a personal trainer at Trent and a personal trainer at Pulse? How is that any different?
Well, I can't speak to other trainers in terms of what they do.
I'm not asking you to badmouth. No. I'm just saying, like, what is the point of difference? Like, how are they, what they're doing is different than what you're doing?
For sure. And there are so many wonderful trainers in the city.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Very lucky to have a group of trainers that we have in Peterborough and the surrounding area. But and I've worked with many, many of them, and they're wonderful people and good at what they do. But in terms of
her, like, she's a sweetheart too, right? Like, she's like, they suck, but But she says it's so sweet. You'd never.
So nicely.
That is wow. That is not what I said.
No, I know. And that's
No.
why I'm saying it. Because, and it's funny because honestly, I've watched you for years and you have a circle of professional people around you that are all exactly what you're saying. They're all great people. You've built that cohesion of your friend group, your professional group, all that. And it says a lot about you and it says a lot about the network that you've built around you. So I give you a lot of credit. I was only joking.
I know you were. Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that a lot. No, that means a lot. I'm very proud of the people, thank you, that I have around me. And to be a part of that circle is an honor for me as well, to just be included in that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would say for me personally, something that I really strive for my clients is just finding that love for it. You know, it's like, to me, that's the hardest piece because like we've talked about, so many people see it as a chore, right? Or something they have to do, or it's annoying, or they got to take an hour or whatever out of their day. Or that they can't, because they feel like they can't measure up to what they, and again, I'm just using myself as an example, but what they see me doing. Because if they're like, well, I can't spend, if I told you the amount of time I spend in the gym in a day, like you probably think I was ridiculous, but I can't spend that amount of time in the gym. I can't do that. So then what's the point, right? If I can't do it to that degree, that means I'm not going to get to where I view her as being. So I'm not going to do it at all.
Yeah.
Well,
Why start?
Why start at all, right? So my number one goal is to just shift that mindset with people and to just get them to want to walk in the door and want to come see me. And yeah, there are going to be sessions where like you said earlier, Pat, like sometimes sessions are more therapy sessions than actual training sessions. But that's okay. Sometimes that's just what needs to happen. But most of the time I just love getting people to the point of feeling like I'm here to work and I love it. And like, this is the purpose of me being here. So that's kind of what I want out of being a trainer for myself, is just like, if I can get people to the point of, number one, feeling like they're happy in the gym and they're comfortable, and feeling like they actually can, move around the gym with comfort and with knowledge and with skill. And then eventually without me, those two things are like my number one priorities for sure for a client.
Okay.
And
So
that is an amazing difference that you're bringing up, because I've only had two personal trainers. I've worked with a physio who was a trainer as well. And all of them never spoke to me about reason for doing it, drive or joy or anything. It was, okay, so what do you want to do? You want to get like lean? You want to be faster? You want to be stronger? What do you want? And then you tell them, and then they're like, okay, here's your plan. And, this is how you use this machine. It was very, there was no drive behind it. Like there were amazing trainers. Don't get me wrong. They were super knowledgeable. They knew exactly what they should be doing. They knew how to use all the training weights. They were absolutely right. If I wanted to get leaner, I should do exactly but there was no, like you said, there was no like, well, why am I doing it?
The human connection.
The human connection. And I think that's beautiful, Rachel. I think that's
cool.
It wasn't until I found that myself, my own personal reason to do things, that I was successful. Before that, it was really just a circle of, because I lost over 100 pounds 3 times.
Unreal.
And the third time it stuck. And the point of difference is I had a good reason that I held on too tight, and I still held on to it every day. And it's the reason why I don't slide now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a beautiful thing. And I think that's very important that you have recognized that that's the difference. And I think you're absolutely right. If someone went to you and you found that for them, they can't help but be successful.
Right.
So Rachel, here kind of, stemming off of what James is saying here, you're touching people's lives in a very different way than probably they've really. Well, when was the last time you had a coach? When was the last time you had a teacher? When was the last time you had something like that? Right? So once you hit these individuals, kind of in their brain, in their heart, and in their ass, right at the end of the day, what sort of life changes do you see them take? Like, obviously, if you get somebody who's lost a lot of weight, they've got more energy. But it's not just in the gym. It's a number of different aspects of their life. So obviously, we're not saying names or like that. But no. I'm sure you've seen some massive life-changing, whether personal relationships, whether their career paths, whether all that sort of thing.
Yep.
What sort of
That's
thing?
absolutely it. Like it goes into all aspects of their lives, right? And I only get to see them in one aspect in the gym unless they share other aspects with me in terms of telling me stories or telling me things about other parts of their life, right? So my view is a little bit more narrow. I don't see them necessarily in the global sense of their lives, but um even just within that little bit, like I see huge differences in terms of confidence, in terms of knowledge, in terms of just excitement to be there. Little things like even getting to know other people in the gym. So, like if we're in a session, going from maybe they're very timid and they don't talk to anybody and they don't like it when somebody comes to talk to me. You know, that's something I'll be conscious of too in the beginning with someone is like, because I'm there all the time, right? Lots of people want to talk, right? It's like, well, if I'm with someone that doesn't like that, I'm going to be a little more conscious of that. And then, you know, months in, all of a sudden they're the ones that are wanting to take a second to talk to people who they've met in the gym, right? And it's just like this, it's just like a light that kind of shines out of them, and it's just really lovely to watch. And they might not even realize that their personality or their demeanor has kind of changed a little bit, but it's visible for sure from my perspective.
Well, it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense, right? You
Yeah.
feel better, you got a
Yeah.
little bit more confidence, a little sex appeal, maybe even, and all of a sudden you're standing there, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm not as uncomfortable having that conversation with that person, and
Yeah.
and that's where I wonder. Like, I know for James going through his process, and I've known so many other people, right? I'm not gonna pick on James here like he picks on me, but like, yes,
No.
people when they make these massive changes in their life, it
Mhm.
snowballs.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
it's such a thing, whether your personal relationships, you kind of look and you go, well, shit, maybe I was settling for this. Maybe I was not doing the things that were making me happy. Maybe the
Yeah.
relationships, with my children, I'm more active now. I want to get out there. I want to drive those things. And
Yeah.
it just kind of, it's a continuum of potentially,
Yeah.
Great things, right?
Yeah. And I think so many people who don't exercise in some way or go to the gym, they view it as kind of whether it's shallow or whether it's all based on aesthetics or whether it's, I don't, well, it's, that's not my main priority. It's vain, whatever. They kind of view it that way until they actually make the change and get into it. And it's like suddenly they
Yeah.
realize, after a period of time, it's like, wow, was I ever wrong in how I viewed that? It's not
Exactly.
actually that way. It's so much more just about feeling good and feeling capable. Like the difference of feeling like you might not even realize that you feel like you can't do something or can't accomplish something simple, right? And then all of a sudden one day you're doing it without even really thinking. And
Like
if you're
getting out of
actually
bed.
like getting out of bed.
Yeah.
I like how
Yeah.
this has been just to pick on Pat night.
Pick on
Yeah,
Pat
it's
and I.
great. It's great.
Well,
I'm really
it's a
glad I
nice
joined
change
for that.
because it's usually a pick on James. Yeah, no, it's like, so I have a series of videos called the Domino Journey. And it's you start with one domino and then you slowly, it just grows and it grows and it grows. And that was very much my journey. I started with losing weight by changing my diet, which gave me energy, which
Mhm.
made me want to be out and doing things, which changed the scope of the people that I wanted to be around,
Yep.
which changed the people that started influencing my life, which changed the decisions I made because my influences changed. And it just built upon itself to the point that now I'm on Soaring Profits with Pat. Like I'm out there. I want people to see me. I used to hide. I was talking to a friend of mine, Lisa, yesterday that I wouldn't take off my shirt
Yeah.
because I looked horrible. I don't look great now because I have a lot of loose skin, but I earned it now. Before I earned it by eating, now I earned it by work.
Yeah.
And so like I'll rip off my shirt. I don't care. I don't care where we are,
Yeah,
And I
she's coming over and saying, James, put it back on.
put it back on, please. Please put it back on. This is the kids' pool. Go
Yeah.
somewhere else. Yeah.
The charges are being dropped, they tell us, though.
They
He's
tell
going
us.
to lot around children again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is like this whole thing, and at first you don't notice it, like you said, but you see it. And when I've been around other people that have started, kind of doing it, you see them kind of come out of their shell, and they are more vocal and they're more confident. And I imagine that it's a beautiful thing to know. Like I'm sure you don't go, haha, that's because I helped you, but it's a nice feeling, warm feeling inside that like, hey, I got you to a point where now you can go,
Yeah.
and continue your journey.
Yeah. Or even just that I helped. It doesn't have to be that I got you there. It's just that, I got to hold your hand a little bit along the way. And I just think that that's like that.
Is
Yeah,
she always this humble and kind?
it
She
warms
is
my heart.
actually. It's funny. I was just gonna say, I'm like, and I've known her for a lot of years, and that's
Yeah.
always been her personality. And
Yeah.
that's why Rachel is such a good person.
It's wonderful. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you are being overly humble, because I'm sure if we like put a message out there right now, I want anyone who has been touched or helped by Rachel to send us a private message right now. Our inbox would just explode.
Right.
So
No, it's
you're
true.
being
And
very humble.
Rachel, to be honest with you, when we started this, Soaring Prophets, you were somebody that I wanted to interview for a long time.
Really?
100%, because
Yeah.
of what you've done. Like you did the fire training, you've done, police stuff. Like you've had such a really unique background, and all of that you're able to draw on and help your clients, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a unique position that life experience brings to
Absolutely.
that therapeutic or training or coaching or whatever, right? Whatever that is.
Yeah.
And you've done some really cool things, from Trent University to all the things that you've kind of developed. I've always wanted to interview you. I think you're really fantastic. I think you've done some really cool things, and I'm done blowing you up. That's it.
No,
I have a question,
it's okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I have a question that's going to flip wheels a little bit. I've started, because I'm running.
Mhm.
I've been noticing that I'm losing too much weight now. So I'm
Okay.
trying to like find different foods and stuff, but I don't like eating a lot anymore, because you know how you train your body not to eat so much, you get full very quickly.
Yeah.
So I've started looking at powder. So I'm on like collagen because I have loose skin. So what do you recommend someone like? So I've never been into chemical powders. I really struggle with the idea of chemicals being helpful to your body. But that being said, everyone I talk to are like, well, you need to get protein powder. You need to get this powder. So when I've seen you, you're like just. I asked Pat if you were like, if you like
Showed.
Yeah, if you showed, I don't know what it's called. Like you went to competitions and stuff,
Competed,
because
yeah.
you look like that person. You're a beautiful, gorgeous woman who like just looks like someone who has won awards doing muscle things. I don't know.
No, I've never competed, but I've never competed.
Picks
But
stuff up, puts it down.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No,
Pick
I
it up
just,
here, put it in. So
I just
do
do it
you
for-
do powders?
I just do it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you do powders though?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that.
Cocaine.
No, did you say cocaine?
She didn't say no right away. There was no like an immediate.
I was just making sure I heard you properly.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Not generally. Going back to supplements, not cocaine. No, I would say that I'm not against them.
Right.
And that each individual person, like I would have to know, I would have to look at what you're eating and look at your daily intake and things to actually have to give you my full opinion. But in general, I would say if you are eating properly, eating what you need to for your body and for your activity level and for your, I hate the word goals, but for your goals and what you want out of it. Generally, I would say if you're doing that properly, you're getting what you need. You don't need extra.
Right.
So if your body is reacting in a way that you're not wanting it to, it's talking to you. It's saying something. It's saying I'm missing something or I'm getting too much of something. And so it's time to readjust a little bit. Is protein powder a bad thing? No, absolutely not. I take it sometimes too, but it's not a consistent thing for me.
Okay.
So I would just say that maybe you can definitely readjust things without it. It's not going to hurt you, and it can be a benefit for sure. But I wouldn't say that it's necessary.
So what is it, James, that you have a concern with? Like, are you?
Sorry, go ahead.
So what is it that you're having a concern with? Like a protein powder or that sort of thing is something that you just don't want to get into, or like?
So I've never believed in, like, I do take vitamin D and vitamin C, but that's because my doctor told me to. But I never have believed in powders and chemicals being used in your body when we have food that does the same thing, right? Yep. So there's so many other foods that I could be eating that would give me protein, would give me collagen, would give me all the things that I'm talking about. But because I've changed the way I eat so much, I get full so fast that I don't think I could eat that much.
Yeah, like you being where you are, like he's 6'3", what are you, 190 pounds?
I'm 205.
Well,
Okay.
Christmas really took its
Yeah.
toll.
It's a girl.
I got a lady that you should probably get in touch with. She's a trainer. She'll kick.
Yeah.
What are you sitting at, Pat?
Let's not talk about that.
I like her.
I am probably
Oh, I like her.
215 right now, maybe
Okay.
220. I'm
Okay.
probably not where I would ideally like to see myself.
I'm just teasing. The number is not everything.
So Rachel,
not,
I
no.
was the biggest person at my work.
Yeah.
Now I'm the smallest, and I might mention it
Wow.
daily.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I have to give you props. Like that's
Oh, I appreciate
not
that.
only
Thank you.
not only to do it once, but to do it 3 times. Like, and now to maintain it. I'm, kudos to you. My hat's off to you because that's
I
pretty
appreciate
amazing.
I appreciate
No,
it. The
sure.
first 2 times were absolute hell. The 3rd time was easy.
Mm.
The last time was easy, but it was because of that point I packed that goal.
Cool.
So anyway, so not powders. So what do I do?
I'm not saying never.
Do
I'm not.
I go on Google? Do I go to is there like a nutritionist I go see? Do I go to Pulse? What do I do now?
In terms is what you mean?
In terms of food,
In
yeah.
terms of food, sorry.
So I'm running an average of 10. So normally it's about 10 kilometers a day. Once a week I run 24 around that. I have a very high impact, very energetic job during the day. And at night, my other full-time job is nothing. I do nothing.
Right.
I sit. Yeah. And then I do yoga and like, I'm just a very active person.
Very active person. So you're going to need more food than I think what you probably think you do.
Right.
And, and I'm going to be delicate here, but there's probably a little bit of uncertainty or fear in terms of because you've worked so hard to get where
You
you're
don't have to be delicate. There is a great fear.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a little bit of a mind game for you because your body is going to need sustenance. It needs fuel. It's like with the amount of exercise that you're doing, like your body probably needs a lot more than you think it does. And what you're giving it likely isn't enough.
No.
And if you're telling me that you're losing weight and that's not what you want anymore, then you need to kind of readjust. And again, I'd have to look at exactly what you're having and what you're eating to actually give you an opinion, which I'm happy to do. If you ever want to get in touch, Pat can, you can get in touch with me through him. But I think that like sort of readjusting, and it would take a little bit of experimenting. It would take some time to kind of figure out what feels good in your body and what works well and what is going to help you put a little bit of that back on, but then also maintain what's going to help you keep some lean muscle versus helping you lose some body fat. It's a little bit of a nuanced thing, but it's definitely workable for sure. And like I said, I'm not saying powders are all bad or that you shouldn't have them. I take them too sometimes. There are days for sure where I just feel like, in terms of, and because you would need to think about this too, like because you're so active, is that the sort of general numbers for protein is like 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound that you want to weigh.
Right.
So
Like, how
which
could
is a
you
lot.
eat that much chicken? Like you couldn't. You'd have to supplement that.
It's a lot. Like if you ever watch a documentary on some bodybuilders, the amount of protein and meat and chicken mostly that these guys are eating and women are eating is just like it seems unfathomable that you can actually eat that in a day. But again, it depends on what you're going for and what you want, right? So
it doesn't seem unfathomable because when I was 356 pounds, I ate that in a day. I ate a pizza instead of like 4 whole chickens and, and then I eat a bag of chips and then I drink 24 pop. And so it's not unfathomable. It's just,
and it changes. Like, let's say, for example, 3,000 calories in pizza and Dairy Queen and McDonald's or whatever is actually, like, in terms of volume, a lot less food than if you were eating clean, right? If you were trying to get 3,000 calories into you every day of clean food, like the amount of food that you would be eating, it would seem crazy. It would seem like you couldn't do it. You'd be full all the time. You'd be stuffing more into your stomach, even when you're already full. But it seems it's kind of a little bit of, like I said, a bit of a mind game because you can eat 3,000 calories a lot more easily of shit than you can of good food.
And then you also crave it.
And then you crave it more.
Like when I eat clean, completely clean, I get full so quickly and I don't crave food. So then I tend to eat less and I have to be mindful now to eat. As before, I had to be mindful not to eat. Like
Yeah.
it's a different mindset. But kind of what I was trying to get at is the people out there say they're in a similar situation where they're just starting to work out and stuff. And when it happens, when you start working out and you start like using more energy and you start doing stuff, you really do have to change what you're eating. I had a friend who was a diabetic, and he and I, all we did is we went from not walking to work, we started walking to work. He had 2 diabetic seizures the first 2 times we walked, and it's because he didn't change his food intake
Yeah.
to match his level of energy.
Yeah.
Well, that's a dramatic example, but it's the same with me. If I don't change my food, then I'm more tired. I have less energy. Your mood swings, stuff like that. So, say I don't know Rachel, but I live somewhere, and I start working out. Who do I contact? Where do I go? What do I do to work on just my food? I don't want a personal trainer. I just want to work on food. What do I do?
I mean, yeah, you can definitely reach out to a nutritionist. They're probably your best bet for sure if you're
Yeah.
just wanting to work on food.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where would you find a nutrition? I don't even know. That's what I'm.
I mean, again, it depends on like sometimes that they can be at various clinics, right? Like,
Right.
we had one that was at Pulse for a while.
Right.
You can, other than that, I mean, sometimes they have their own clinics as well.
Right.
Right.
So my experience with nutritionists is that it's usually medically driven, right? That's where so
Right.
many of the people you've had an incident, you've had an episode, you've had a something, and the doctor is like, you're going to be talking with Helen. Helen's going to be coming by with a little plastic meat and her little plastic carrot and her little, and we're going to, this is the food pyramid, right? And that's kind of where I think most people's first engagement, maybe with their parents or something like that, is with a nutritionist. And it's too bad, because it's kind of almost jokingly rudimentary.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people complicate food a lot more than needs to be done.
Right.
And people get caught up in, well, yeah, but I want to eat this or I want to eat that. And truthfully, like, eating for health and eating for function is boring.
Right.
And your body, like, I know that we crave things and we love food. I do too, right? And I have those days where it's like, no, I just want to eat what I want to eat. But in terms of what your body actually needs to function and to function well, it's very simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. People get like, well, and even you saying, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know what to eat. And I'm not saying like throw out the Canada Food Guide, like all that. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not a good guide in my opinion. But it's simple in terms of like I said, you focus on your protein, and it all depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to get lean or you're trying to put on some mass or whatever. But like, focus on your protein, make sure you get the good carbs in you, and you get some fats in there too. It's really not difficult. It's a very simple list of some things that your body will need to put those good calories into you. It's not, you don't have to get really, really complicated with it in order to do it right.
I love it.
And it's a lot of it is portion size too, right? Everything in moderation and again, for each body and each activity level.
Did I hear you say that the Canadian Food Guide is not good? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So I have heard that over and over again from professionals of every kind that it's not worth the paper it's written on.
No.
And so why is that? Like I have their idea of why, because it's wrong. Like
it's just
the
wrong.
foods they've chosen and the amounts that they pick are not right.
No, they're not right. It's like when you walk into a gym and you're pretty sure that the gym was set up by somebody who doesn't actually work out.
Yes. Right.
It's kind of like that. Like I'm sure that the guides were written by people who thought, well, this sounds good. Like, I think this is healthy. It sounds like this is the right amount. Food is so individual to each person and to each body, and to it's going to take some time. It takes time to figure out what your body reacts well to, what it feels good on, what it doesn't feel good on, what bloats you, what gives you energy, every body is so different. So I would suggest taking the time to figure that out. And if you want to get really into it, you can start by, eliminating some things and slowly putting them back in, and not out of a trying to lose weight necessarily. I just mean in terms of what your body feels good on.
That's
and
right.
what doesn't. Right. And then you can incorporate those things or choose to leave things out.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that food is a fuel source that we ignore.
Yeah.
Everyone ignores. Like, we allow the government and Monsanto and all these companies to
Yeah.
jack up the sugar, jack up the chemicals, jack up everything. Like just in normal chicken, they jack it up to a point that it's not recognizable chicken, and it's hurting us. And I think it's a lot to do with the diseases we have today. And we ignore it, but it's what fuels us. We spend more time deciding how oil is going to get to our cars than we do the food that goes in our children. It is the wildest, funniest thing. And you know what? There were years I didn't care. So I am like a hypocrite. I am 100% a hypocrite. But since I've gone through this, now I know, like sugar, for example, is like one of those foods that we should just eliminate. It is like known to be the cause of like hundreds of diseases, like known. Like we can't smoke now because we know it causes one disease, but we can consume mass amounts of sugar and we know it causes it. Like diabetes alone is killing our health system. You know, if we solve that one problem, and it's very preventable.
It's very preventable, but nobody really wants to look at it.
No.
You know, nobody wants to address that problem because it's inconvenient or it's not tasty or, you know, it doesn't allow me to do what I want to do. And like food is and money. Yeah. And food is so simple. Like my meals pretty much look the same every day. And you know what? People get annoyed when I say that because they're like, well, yeah, but how do you not get bored? Well, I do, but I eat it anyway. Yeah. Right. Like, so what? And again,
you're changing the psychology of why you're eating.
Yeah.
And it's funny. So Harlow, my daughter, is you know, she's doing really cool things with athletics, and she's changing her physical nature is changing from a gymnastics, very lean, to now where she's trying to put on more muscle. She's for rugby. So she's changing, right? And I'm saying to her is that before you could get away because it was more graceful, it was more dynamic, it was, you know, that sort of thing. And now it's like it's impactful. Like you have got to be changing your things. So you cannot go and do this and this and this food choice because it's not benefiting you.
Yeah.
And changing the psychology of going that I used to like ice cream because it was, you know, pleasurable to eat. And now it's like, but that's counterintuitive to all the other sacrifices that you made. And what are you doing with your body? And what are you fueling your body with? And then I go over and sit and eat the bag of chips on the couch.
Yeah, exactly. You're such a great role model.
As I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Parenting 101, folks. Yeah. We'll get there. You'll get there.
I think it's rule with the rod, not with the, I don't know. I can't remember. It's something rule with the rod. Anyway, sorry, Rachel, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I know your expression, but I can't think of it right now.
Right.
But Pat, there's something to be said in terms of there's self-interest and then there's enlightened self-interest. Self-interest is, you know, I want the ice cream. I want it right now. I've worked hard. I've earned it. I deserve it. I just love it. You know what? I'm going to have it. Well, sure. Like we're allowed to do that once in a while. But enlightened self-interest is just like you said. Okay, but that might not help me with my game tomorrow. Right. You know, or that might not, like I'm probably not going to feel great in the morning. And then I'm not going to run as fast and I'm not going to be able to do, you know, to play as hard or whatever. Right. So it's like, which really is more important to you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to your coaching strategy, right?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Your self-gratification right now. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you shit the bed tomorrow, when you don't do the thing that you really wanted and the trophy doesn't come or all that sort of thing. And it's funny because Harlow has been very successful so far. So she competed provincially in gymnastics. She hasn't had that. Well, she hasn't hit that level of competition yet where she's like, oh, they're really, really good.
Right.
She's always been.
It might be better than me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She's always been the tallest. She's always been the strongest. She's always, well, she was athletic like her dad.
Yes, she is.
But it's one of those things that now, as she's going into high school next year, you're going to start seeing some competition. You're not going to be the big dog on the yard anymore.
Yeah.
So do you want it?
Yeah.
Right.
How bad do you want it?
Level. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I think she's going to kill it. I think she'll find that drive for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's already done it. Like when she started gymnastics, and I'm pretty proud of her too, but when she started gymnastics, she got hit by COVID at the same time, kind of deal. Like when she started competitions, she got hit by COVID. She convinced her dad to buy a balance beam, a crash mat, and she not only convinced him to do it like most kids do, and they'll do it for like a day. She was doing it.
No, she kept at it.
She couldn't do a standing backflip.
What was it? A It was like the bane of our existence.
It was crazy.
Months.
But she worked on it, worked on it. Failed. And just so she will, whatever she puts her mind to, she's going to get through, because she's like her dad, very stubborn.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I loved your point about the food. I eat boring now too.
Yeah.
Every day, not every day is the same, but it's mostly the same. And when the first 2 times I lost weight, I would go work out, and then I'd go get crappy food, because exactly your mindset, which was, you know, like, oh, well, I just worked out. I deserve to go have a burger and fries now.
Yeah.
But now, you know, I'll run 10K and I could go get a burger and fries, but then what's the point of the 10K?
Yeah,
I just did all that energy for no output. So I'm going to go get good food.
Yeah. You can't out-train a bad diet.
No.
You can't. There's no way around it. And people love to think, like you just said, that they can, or that they earned it, or they deserve it, or, well, I'll work it off tomorrow. It's like, no, you won't. No. Not if you want to actually achieve the results that you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so coming up. Sorry?
No, I was just gonna say you could maintain probably doing that, but you're not gonna make changes. Sorry, Pat, go ahead.
So we're coming up, obviously, to New Year's.
Yes.
Got all the resolutions. You are in the business. You are in the business of resolutions. Your face.
No, she's not.
Like
she is in the business of achieving goals and self-motivation. She is not in the business of resolutions. Resolutions are a waste of time, because they're not done well.
I would like her to answer. I
know, but it makes me angry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying, so this is what I'm coming up with. And I would like to have the guest, if you don't mind, sir. Sir. Obviously, resolutions they're not worth the paper they're written on. But you are going to see a bunch of people walk into gyms all across the world in the next 2 weeks and shit the bed within the first week.
Yep.
What is your advice? What is your word of wisdom, other than James? You just sit there, sir. What is your piece of advice for people that are like, hey, maybe I'll try this? What do you say to them?
Well, I would say a couple of things. I never want to discourage somebody from coming into the gym, or from starting to get active, or starting something new. I do not want to discourage that, and I'm all for that. But I would say, if you are like ready to put in some real effort and make this, this change for yourself, then absolutely I'm there to support you, and as are other trainers and whatever. But if you are a resolutionist and you're just kind of doing it as like, all right, I'll give it another try, do not contact me. Do not.
Yeah, I love that.
No.
That's so honest. That's so honest, because I think, and probably your experience as a trainer in some of the larger chain type gyms, is that's when it's like sales. We're going to talk about boosting sales and getting numbers and driving that. And and now that you've kind of pulled away from that sort of the chain type industry, it's different, right?
It's different. Yeah. And in terms of, and again, just speaking to the gym atmosphere, come at it with this mindset of wanting to learn, right? Try not to look at it as, I'm coming to make a change in myself and I want to change my body. Come at it with, like, I want to learn about the gym. I want to learn how to work out. I want to learn what my body can do. I want to learn if I can like this, and to me, that's going to be so much more effective of like actually wanting to gain some knowledge and some skill about this, and come into the gym with some respect for everybody that's already there and who's been there for, decades, or who come into the gym with respect for the equipment, come into the gym with respect for people who put it here, and who, for the most part, are so willing to help. Like, you don't even necessarily need to sign up with a trainer, but like, if you're open to it, there are some wonderful people who go to gyms who are ready and willing to, drop some knowledge and some experience if you're willing to listen to it, right? So just come in with an open mind, but a respectful one. And the gym can be a really great place for even somebody who's new, who feels, like I said, who might feel intimidated, but it doesn't need to necessarily be that way. Or even if you do feel intimidated, do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it anyway.
I think, Rachel, you say something there that's really important. And I look around our community, and we've got some very impressive individuals that are, involved in gyms in the community, whether it be professional athletes. Like we've got pro hockey players. We got,
absolutely.
Arguably, we have probably the best stream of professional lacrosse players you could ask for in the world. Yep. We've got professional athletes that just leak in this community.
Yep.
So when you're walking in there, these people that maybe look intimidating, they're all pretty down to earth people.
Totally.
Right. Have that opportunity, have that dialogue, and kind of embrace that. So
Yeah.
I think that's a very cool perspective. We're kind of at that point in the conversation, a little over an hour here.
Sure, yeah.
But first of all, Rachel, I want to thank you. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. I think people that have an opportunity to watch this, obviously reach out and get in touch with Rachel. We'll throw some stuff on here that they can reach out.
Please do.
If you're interested in really wanting to make these decisions and these changes, I can't tell you anyone that would be better, that is going to work you, but also with the mindset and the perspective of, hey, I'm here for whatever you need. I'm willing to be that personable person, understanding your needs and your expectations and reestablishing those and setting them going forward. I highly recommend Rachel get in touch with Rachel. So at the end of these talks, remember I told you that there's no like gotcha, but there's something at the end.
Oh gosh, yes.
Right.
Wait, I just want to say first, thank you both so much for having me on.
Right.
You get to do that.
You get to do that at the end. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
So at the end of these, I know that you've watched every one of our broadcasts, so obviously you know this already, but what we do is we stick you at the end. So you get to leave us with like a word of wisdom, something that you come up with. Well, the philosophy will be fun. Come up with something. It'll be good.
We give you time to think of it, so don't worry.
Yeah, you've got like 30 seconds. Go.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So, folks, as always, we're looking at the holiday season. You're going to have your resolutionists, as some people like to call them. I really like that. A good term. But, this is a time I talked briefly about in one of our lives yesterday that we broadcasted about, getting right with your body and your mind, like James is talking about. But this is a big time where you've really got to start looking at your total, being. And a lot of that I talk about is your finances. And what's that going to look like for 2023? So those of you that have been following me with the stock market analysis and the business analysis, it's time to get your shit together, because in 2023, we're going to have some headwinds. We're going to have some problems that are coming down the pipe in the stock market, in business in general. So it's time to start learning. It's time to get in touch with the business of your body, but now it's time to get in charge with the business of your money. And these are big opportunities. 2023 is going to be full of opportunities. You got to know where to get them. So put yourself out there, take that chance, educate yourself, make that opportunity for 2023, and hopefully we can go from there. Rachel, thank you, my dear. I appreciate you. And as always, let's make some money together. James?
I can't agree more with Pat, and I think this is a great place. This is a great platform for you to learn what you should do and not do coming up in 2023. The video that he's talking about, I watched. It's delightful. He couldn't find me for some reason. I don't know where I was hiding at the time, but it's all about what we're going to expect in the future, kind of a little prediction, a little kind of idea of what we should do. And I think anyone should take the opportunity to watch that because it was very good. I agree 100% with Rachel. Like a lot of the things, just to paraphrase what she's saying, achieving goals over your body is mind, body, and soul. You got to link all three. You got to have all three involved. It's not just going and lifting weight. There's, a food aspect. There's a getting your mind right aspect. And there's then the physical aspect. And if you're not doing all three, you're going to have a really hard time. It's like pushing Jello uphill. Yeah. And you revolutionists out there, I love that. Not revolutionists, resolutionists.
The revolution is a little different.
Resolutionists. That's my favorite tagline now. 100%. Go ahead, make that resolution. The key things, though, are make a possible resolution. Don't just say, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. Say, I am going to work towards losing weight, but then write out a plan. Mm-hmm. Every time people make a resolution, they don't write out a plan. All they do is go, I'm going to lose weight. Happy New Year, kiss me. Write out a plan. Go, these are the steps I'm going to take. These are the rewards I'm going to take. These are this month. I'm going to do that and move forward. Do the same with learning how to ride a bike, learning how to run. You can break this down into manageable, smaller goals. And if you write it down, your resolution is going to happen. And not only that, you get the benefit of saying to your friends, oh, what did you do for your resolution, Pat? And when he doesn't come up with anything, you can go, well, my resolution, I'm killing. This is what I'm doing. So get out there, do have a resolution, but make sure it's well thought out plan. Rachel, I heard so much about you from Patrick when we heard, I think it was 2 weeks ago when you were supposed to come. he had nothing but beautiful things to say. You are the delight. He said you're beautiful, kind, intelligent. The stuff that you know about working out and fitness and driving people, you're like a combination counselor, Lou Ferrigno. You just got it. You just got it all. And then you have that, like, you could be that person that walks into a room saying, yeah, I'm hot, I'm awesome, I'm great. But you're not. You're just that, like, kind. You're the person that lifts everybody else up, literally and figuratively. And thank you so much for coming on. And profiteers out there, get your goals. If you're in Peterborough, go see this wonderful woman. I think that she could guide you into the 2023 that you deserve. And let's all heal our minds, bodies, and souls together.
He meant you were deaf, is what he meant by that.
What do you mean?
Lou Ferrigno is deaf.
Oh, Lou Ferrigno. No, I meant like Jack.
So, Rachel, this is where we stick you with a motivational piece. You get the
Freedom?
last word. You get the last word in all of this.
The last word. No,
Last
What
worries.
word.
And
You
to be
can
honest,
talk for
this is
George
the
Life.
last one. This is the last one for 2022, so it better be good. No pressure.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Right.
And you gave me no warning.
No
No, like I said, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me on. This has honestly been an honor. I love that you even thought to have me. I really appreciate it. You're both wonderful. James, I would love to continue to hear more about your story. If you want to keep in touch, I would love that.
Sure.
It's inspiring, really. Pat, please keep me posted on your back. I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Yes.
I want to know exactly what you're doing, and if I can help in any way, you know, you can reach out. So yeah, thank you so much. And I guess I don't know if it's wise, but my last word of wisdom is just be afraid and do it anyway. Like let's show 2023 what you got.
It's like she knew what she was
That's
doing,
perfect.
folks.